What's up guys, and welcome to another episode. Today we're going to be mounting the entire wiring harness of the STI into the RS behind me, and we're also going to be putting the AC condenser and run all the lines for it, so stay tuned. So last time we ended up with this huge mess of wires, which I'm now going to collect in the middle of the car, take and throw into this shell. So the wiring's inside the car now. Because I took it straight out of the other car into this one, the left side and right side are already separated. That made it nice and easy. And now what I can do is start placing my bigger pieces like this thing, the ECU, the fuse box, the airbag system, all that stuff that I know where it should go. That's what I'm going to do first, and then I can run my wires nicely in between them, tuck them away, all that stuff. So yeah, let's do it. Quick update, I ended up grinding the second bolt or nut on these guys because I'm not using it and it's just getting in the way of the heater box. So now we can slide it in and out easily, even with the wires on top. So that's awesome. Another thing is I made this hole a little bit bigger so I could put the bracket on here. Other than that, I put the wires through the different holes in the engine bay and on the side. And now I'm gonna put the dash beam back in and hopefully the dash as well, see if everything lines up correctly, and if it does, then that's awesome. Things are finally starting to look like something. I've got the fuse box mounted, the airbag system is lining up with the two holes on the rail, but not with the ones on the chassis. As you can see here, they're quite far apart, so I'm gonna build some standoffs here and then drill a new hole in this bracket. Then for the blower, I had to adjust the mounting a little bit, but now it's all good. All the wires seem to reach far enough. Other than that, I think I'm ready to put the dash in and do the final installation. So here's the dash with the glove box and the steering column and all that stuff. It's fitting really good. I'm really happy with how it is right now. So at least I know that fits, and now I can take it back off and keep working on the wiring and placing all those main components. Now for the airbag system, it already fits nicely on the dash beam. That's normal, it all came off the STI, but it does not fit on the transmission tunnel. As you can see, the hole is not far away, but it's still off and you can easily adapt the bracket yourself. All I'm doing is I'm cutting it on the side and then folding it along the black line here, and then I'm gonna drill a new hole to fit my bolt. And here's the result. It's all bolted in nicely. I even got my wires running in the back, and the ground here and the dash beam is also bolted in, so that's all good. So now that this wiring is somewhat sorted, I need to take care of the wiring harness between this fuse box and the front fuse box inside the engine bay. Basically, it's all the wires that run from here on the side of the car and then back in the engine bay. And this is what it's supposed to look like on the STI. So the wires come out of here, they run on the side to this fuse box, and even to the battery and the alternator, all that stuff. So I need to take that and transfer it to this car. So I've got everything plugged in and organized nicely. So that's all done, and my wires come up here on the factory location and then to the fuse box, which isn't mounted because the holes don't line up. So I'm gonna have to do a little custom work here. The rest comes down here into the engine bay, and it's supposed to run down the front and to the other side, but right now it's just hanging down there. It's nothing crazy, nothing difficult, so I'm just gonna leave it here. Now, I've been messing with the AC condenser, and it fits quite nicely now. I had to drill new holes down here. As you can see, they're quite a bit off. And up here, they're a little bit off, but just too much. So I'm gonna have to do some custom stuff here as well. For now, I just zip tied it. But now the lines don't line up anymore. So up here, it's all good. And then you come to this part, which is just hanging loosely. So I'm gonna have to find a bracket for this. And then here it hits the brake booster. And then over there kind of interferes with the clutch. And here it doesn't line up at all. So yeah, I'm gonna have to bend this into shape. So let's do it. Okay, so here's my solution. I've bent the lines a little bit over here and a little bit over there. So now this thing fits in an existing hole, which is perfect. And this fits just fine over there. Now with the AC and the wiring mostly sorted, I think it's time to finish up the interior. And there it is. Doesn't that look beautiful? I love this new dash inside the old chassis. It has something really special to it. But yeah, now, except for the steering wheel, I'm not going to plug in any other stuff because it doesn't need it for the car to run. So all the stereo, all that stuff is not going to be in for now. But yeah, now I can focus more on the rear of the car and plugging in all the wires and all the stuff that really needs to be plugged in. Like the fuel pump, the speed sensors, and maybe the airbag system. But yeah, that's a huge win, and now I can focus on the rear and also in the front. So obviously we just did the AC condenser and ran the lines all the way to the firewall. So that's awesome, and I've got most of the wires at the right position. They're not plugged in yet, but they will be soon. Like this ABS stuff, it's ready to be plugged in, just not done yet. Even on the side here, it's all good. So yeah, as soon as I'm done with the rear, I can pretty much button up the front, and then we can start putting this thing in. So here's my plan. For now, I have this side impact sensor, which I have to fit somewhere on this pillar. And in the STI, it fits right above the seatbelt, so right around here. And I've already drawn the piece that I want to cut. And then this will sit inside the pillar. And I'm going to use the bottom bolt to fasten this thing, so I know it's strong. And for the top bolt, I'm either going to put a self-tap screw or one of those inserts with threads, so I can securely mount it in there. And there it is. The sensor is in. It fits perfectly in this hole. That's where the factory seatbelt mounts. So they'll just be sharing one mounting hole, which I think is completely fine. Now for the top bolt, I'm just going to put a self-tapper screw for now, and later on I'll do something more rigid. And as for the big hole I just cut in the pillar, yeah, I'll figure out something later to reinforce it. Probably going to weld some reinforcements around it. Definitely not in the middle, because I need to be able to remove the sensor if needed. But yeah, that's that. And this car is probably gonna have a cage in it at some point. So yeah, not a big stiffness issue, I think, on the chassis. And I'm much more confident having the sensor in the right location. And all I need to do now is to find a resistor for this thing. That's for the seat belt inside the STI. which I can't run here obviously. So yeah, I'm just gonna put a resistor in here, and that should turn off all the warning lights. So yeah. So now all I have to do is repeat the process on the other side, and also mount the door sensor, which I've already done on this side. I just took the STI door sensor because they have a different connector, and this thing has a square hole, whereas the other ones from the GC have a round hole like this one. So all you need to do is cut a little square around the round hole. It's the same size as the round hole, so you just have to extend the sides and make them square. So nothing too complicated, and then it fits just fine. Now just to show you guys again with the seat belts in, as you can see, this bolt is perfect, and now all I have to do is find something for this top bolt. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty much perfect. So now I'm done with all the crappy stuff down here. I can jump into the hall sensors on both sides and then figure out the trunk wiring. So I went and grabbed my STI hall sensors, and as you can see, they line up correctly somewhat, but they don't have any threads, so I can put bolts through it. So that's kind of an issue. And if you look at the original ones, they have a nut attached to the back of the bracket, which the STI ones don't. And I don't want to use this old bracket because it's really, crappy and rusty. So what I'm going to do is still put the bolt here, but then just put a nut that I found from the STI and put it in the back, and that should be just fine. Now I should probably say that you don't want to do this in the long run, because the lines are now a lot closer to the wheel and you could potentially break them. So normally they're about at the same height as the bracket behind, and now they're a lot closer. So what I'm gonna do eventually is relocate this to here, maybe make a nice little bracket, but since I just want to test the car right now, that's what I'm going for, and it's just gonna be fine. I'll be careful, but yeah, just want to get it out there so nobody does it and blames me for it. But yeah, be careful with that stuff. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this time. We got a lot done today. We got the entire wiring harness mounted and ready to go. Adapted the airbag system, the door sensors, all that stuff. Even got the AC condenser in. So huge progress, and from here on, we should be pretty much set to put the big mechanical parts back in the car, like the gas tank. That's the next thing I want to do, and then the rear and front subframes along with the engine. But that's a huge step, because if the wiring is okay, then everything else will go smoothly from there. So yeah, as I said, I still need to solder all this stuff in the trunk and make some extensions here and there. But all in all, it should be nothing that's going to hold this car from starting and running, at least for a test drive. So next time we're going to be putting most of the car back together, so that should be a fun one. At least I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Please feel free to subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.